great to have you with us here. I just went to Switzerland with a friend of mine, and I'm just enjoying this beautiful landscape. And when we were talking about the Bible here, we just had the idea that we could use this opportunity to share a few things. In fact, Romans 7 is something that for a long while already I wanted to make a video about, because it seems to be to me something very essential. In fact, that there are quite a few videos, sermons, teachings going on in the meantime that speak about these 6 well-known Bible verses that speak about homosexuality, apparently, so people think at least. And it is good to talk about this, and it's important. But I think that there is another problem that we really face, which is much more to do with the essentials and with the foundation of our Christian belief as a whole. And this is our attitude towards the law. And now today I would like to share Romans 7:4. Certainly there would be much more to say about, but I would like also to try to compress and to say the most important thing. So I just picked this verse and want to share it to you, and maybe it inspires you to think about a few things. It says this. I just read from Darby translation because it seems to be literal, and this is what I want it to be currently. So that, my brethren, ye also have been made dead to the law by the body of the Christ, to be to another, who has been raised from among the dead, in order that we might bear fruit to God. So this verse is an essential verse of Romans. What does it really mean? So that, my brethren, ye also have been made dead to the law. Now imagine this. Try to imagine to what extent your Christian belief really has been shaped by laws. What kind of laws? You should go every Sunday to church. You should read in the morning your Bible. You should not have sex before marriage. You should, and you should, and you should, and you should not, and you should not. And basically believe we are good Christians when we follow those laws, and do not really recognize that the Bible itself speaks completely different about the law. It says here, well, I just moved it, verse 4, so that, my brethren, you also have been made dead to the law. Now imagine this, you have been made dead to this law. Is this not very risky? If the law does not prescribe what you are to do, how then would you ever know what you should do and what you should not do? And the same very verse goes on explaining it to us. Just the next part of the verse. To be to another, shortly said. The translators apparently had a problem to translate this rightly. It expresses a possession. In the German translation it says, in order to be the possession of another. And I saw in King James it says, in order to be married to another. I think this is an interpretation which is a bit going too far. Another translation in New American Standard I read, to be joined to another, which I feel a bit weak, because really it speaks about a possession. You are of another. You are the possession of Christ. Now, before you have been to the law, you had to follow the laws. Now, the alternative to this is not to be completely without orientation, but the alternative is that you are now the possession of another. And it doesn't only say Christ, but it makes it more explicit and says to be to another who has been raised from among the dead. So this is the definition. Which other is it speaking about that you are the possession of now? You are the possession of the one who has risen from the dead. So this is a completely different way of looking at things. You are beyond this world of death. You are already in life itself, and you are his possession. And it is he himself who directs your ways. A good friend of mine once made this comparison. If you have a place where horses are closed, a closure where they cannot move out, this was like the law. And now later, when there was the new covenant, Now this horse has a rider. The rider is Christ, and he can go into all this beautiful landscape, into the wideness and freedom, because there is a rider he controls, and this is Christ. And then the verse shows us the result of this. In order that we might bear fruit to God. It's now that we bear fruit. I would like you to think about a bit, what does this concretely mean to you? Which ones are the laws that you believe are essential to your Christian faith? And now try to find out, are you really and exclusively directed by the one who is your rider, the one who possesses you, Christ? Or is it like fixed laws that make it even unnecessary for you to be in close and every minute connection to Christ, because anyway you already know what is the will of God. By the way, there is an interesting thing that I observed. Paul prays for the churches that they would find out what is the will of God. Don't know if you read this in the beginning of Colossians, for example. Why does he pray this? If it was so easy that there are laws who tell you, for example, you must not be gay, for example, or that tell you how you have to consider your sexuality, and many other things, how you should live your Christian life. If it is that easy, would Paul really have had to pray that they would find out the will of God? Apparently not. Because to know the will of God is a result of a living connection with Christ. And this living connection is a possession that is perpetual at every moment. And only then you really can end up knowing what is the will of God. And I think if we consider this, I'm going to close now. Read Romans 7 in the context, read what you find about law and Christ. If we consider this, we can realize that a lot of what we call Christian in reality is not. It is actually an Old Testament pattern that we applied to Christianity. And it is necessary for us not only to consider those 6 verses, but it is necessary for us to find out what is really the ground on which we stand as Christians, which is a living connection to Christ. And within this living connection, you then, walking together with Him, asking Him what is good, what is bad, finding out freely, having the courage to make experiences, you will know what is the will of God, and then you are deeply convinced. And out of you there will come love, there will come life. This is what he says here. The result is that we might bear fruit to others. Others will realize that out of you comes a flow, a river of life, and that is refreshing, that is making free, and that is really what Christianity is about. And actually I don't like the term too much because it has been so much misused. What being a Christian means. It was great that you heard that, and I hope that it inspires you. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel and get our newsletter. I would like to go on making videos like this and to be a blessing for you. Bye guys.